One of the cars that inspired how visually you can see the aerodynamics of the car actually working.
Yeah.
And one of the early cars that made me fall in love with cars was the Lamborghini Countach.
I'm sure you know. Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s. I saw it in London. And when it drove by, the first time I saw it, it just had this, it cracked this kind of feeling in me. That was a unique feeling, And then that's one of the reasons, that's one of the feelings when I felt it, I was like, one day I want to be able to get this feeling in someone else through my work. Cars was a natural passion. The other passion was art, and I really loved drawing, and I really loved the art side of things. And it was only time that I combined these two passions together,
Yeah.
So car design was my dream job. When I figured out that that's actually a job, you can get paid for it, I was like, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And since then, it was really about finding the right school, and Art Center College of Design in Pasadena was something that Henrik Fisker recommended, who's a great car designer.
Yes.
And I was lucky to meet him, and he was like, you have to go to California, man, you have to go. And I was like, done. My dad was okay with it, and then I applied there, got in, and I went there to study, and it was perfect after
that.
So
in hindsight, it worked out perfectly. But then, of course, you need experience, right? You need to be on the job.
Correct.
And that happened for you. It kind of fell into place, or you went specifically looking for certain jobs? Because, I know that you worked with a Land Rover and a Rolls Royce. All of these opportunities aren't easy to come by. So how did it happen for you?
It really took kind of persistence and kind of just running after these guys. So every time a friend of mine and me, we would go to these car events, everyone else was looking at the cars, but we were hunting for the people, because these people, we knew that we wanted to get into the industry, and the people is the guys that can actually bring it there. So someone like even the Jaguar chief designer, Ian Callum, who I look up to, I almost met him over 4 or 5 times over different events, different years, and it almost was like 3 years until he had me working at Jaguar. Yeah, all of the experiences were very unique, different countries.
Yeah.
And as a designer, I think it's important to travel to learn about different cultures, and everyone has such a unique way to build the car, design the car, and every model is different in fact as well.
So then where did the dream of creating a hypercar? Because it would seem like, there's no supercar as far as in India is concerned, and you suddenly thinking of creating the first Indian offering in the hypercar market, which of course I understand is growing. But as far as the Indian market is concerned and the possibility of an Indian export to the rest of the world, now that seems to be like a stretch. So how are you so convinced that you could create a hypercar that is going to be something that the world would want to buy?
Correct. I think it stemmed mainly from the emotion of wanting to create it, as opposed to starting to think about the business and how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was like, this is the dream. This is something that's my soul feels like it just wants to do this, regardless of whatever. And it was always my dream to kind of have my own company and kind of design a supercar, hypercar, something that's extreme, something that's sporty, and kind of give India its first, because I mean we haven't had one. So it was like, maybe it's about time that we give India its first hypercar.
For which you'll need a lot of collaboration, or you plan to do it all in-house? Because there is a lot of talent out there in India.
Correct.
But of course, as far as experience goes, you might have to look outside India. How are you planning to go about this?
So I think one of the key things is that even though India is kind of a home market, and I mean the car is kind of born from India, we want to take India to the world, and we're even considering taking the production of this car to the West. So it's
which would be a UK or perhaps even California?
California, UK, Italy, I don't know. We're looking at all the options right now.
I see.
And but for us, it's really important that we make this the best that it can be. And of course, even though the project started from India, it doesn't have to end in India. And a lot of people have commented on us and talked about, that why you can't take the production somewhere else and call it India's first hypercar,
Yeah.
But at the same time, to be true to the roots, it started from India, and it doesn't matter if it's finished somewhere else. It's still a collaborative effort of India and the West. It just makes so much sense to be closer to our major suppliers.
Yes.
And even be closer to our major markets.
But how do you retain the Indianness of the offering?
So I think, look at it as James Bond, the character, right? He's quintessentially British.
Yes.
But he's a citizen of the world, right? I mean, everyone loves James Bond, right? Everyone watches James Bond.
Yes.
So it's kind of like that idea to take the Indian ethos, take the Indian idea to the international level, and actually have this as an aspirational sort of luxury product that is sold in the West as well, not just in India. The buyer is really the kind of buyer who knows he's powerful, doesn't need that attention, doesn't need to scream it out loud. He knows he's powerful. People are starting to realize that luxury is more about the story.
Yes.
Luxury for me is what I consider luxury, not what I think you consider luxury.
Sure.
And I'm not going to wear something just because I find that you like it, you know. And that's somewhere the learnings that we took to the car. So the Indian influence on the car really is as a soul element of the car is really inspired by Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva has that, you know, that calm, that duality of being calm, but yet he can be aggressive.
Yes.
He has a weapon, which is the Trishul, which is...
That's where the name comes from?
That's where the name comes from. And then the Trishul is not a weapon to kill. It's a weapon to kind of get rid of negativity, and it's kind of like a positive weapon, a weapon from heaven, you know? Yeah. So that's something that's like on the body side of the car. And imagine the car is kind of going around with this Trishul on the side, so it's kind of getting rid of the negativity in the cities that we have. So that's on a humorous note, but you know...
I see the Trishul elements on the headlights. I see it right up front over here as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the Trishul if you see the car in top view.
Yes.
These three lights, when they light up, it's kind of like the three lines that Shiva has on his head, which is the Tripundra, or that's what they call it. So, you know, all these elements are very subtle. It's not something that when you see the car, you're like, India, you know, that kind of thing. Because I think as from a design standpoint, India has to get to the modern era as well. And this transition has to happen. And unless we really work hard at it and we really experiment with our past, but yet not be very obvious and, you know, very literal about the inspirations, and kind of do it in a subtle way, in a story way, and just be able to kind of tell the world what we're about. And I think India, more than that, because of the soul being the Shiva element, is because India is known for that vibrant country, the colorful country, the festivals, and, you know, the brightness everywhere. But I think more than that, the side that they don't advertise, the West doesn't kind of, you know, advertise, is the side that's about the meditative, the calm side, you know. And that's why we all are happy in the way that we live, you know.
Which is why I find it interesting that for the concept, you decided to go with a white and a black. The more attractive ones, at least in this kind of range, come with all kinds of pop colors.
Correct, yeah, that's true. So I think the white is again connected to the Himalayan calmness.
Yes.
And somewhere it's about the purity in the design, the purity in the lines, the purity in kind of seeing the graphics. So at this stage in time, it was really about seeing this as a pure form, as opposed to seeing a color and kind of being drawn to the color, as opposed to being drawn to the shape of the car.
And all of that needs to fall into place to because I know a lot of people, they aspire to be auto designers. It's something that has been in the back of mind for many Indians, and you've been able to crack that code to a large extent, which is absolutely brilliant. But I'm told that you sketch brilliantly as well. So I want to be able to see that even as we say goodbye.
I mean, you can see it on the wall behind.
No, that's not going to be enough. We're going to see you do more of it, and I'm going to give you a task as well. You need to design a car for me which would best suit my personality. Okay. We're going to see you do that. Cool. All right?
Can you, I think I need to know more about you.
We'll have a little chat, but we're going to see you do that. The viewers are going to accept it. We're going to see him do just that as we wrap up this edition of Aspire. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, Vikram. So Vikram, what kind of car is it going to be?
I want a classy car with muscle.
Convertible? Is it convertible?
A convertible for sure, yes. And it has to have visual and aural appeal, just the way the Shūl is. Not yet.
It's going to be a surprise for you. You want to see it?
The major reveal, why not? Ah!
Classic
stylish.
Muscle. Classic muscle. Does it do classic muscle?
It does classic, it does muscle very, very well. In fact, it reminds me of your graduation project.
Correct. You know, that made things a lot easier when you said classic muscle, because that's one of the ideas that was kind of surrounding that project. Yeah.